Hi, all. It's really good to be back. I had expected to be sitting here speaking with you last week, but the problems with Facebook and Instagram interfered. The first thing I want to do today is to ask you to sit back and ask yourself a question. Why am I here? I'm talking, you're listening. Why did you come? The answer is you want assistance. The answer is I want to lose weight, but I want more than that. The sign behind me says it all. If I do the program, I will lose a minimum of 15 pounds every 30 days. We've been saying this now forever. And the question number one, ask yourself, why am I here? And if the answer is, I want to learn how, then you're in the right place. So first and foremost, I want you to understand if the program works, and it does work, why are you struggling? Why are you having such a difficult time? And the answer is you have not understood your role in the whole process. The program works. It's not working for you the way you want it to work because you're not doing what you need to do in order to have it happen. Let me give you a quick example. I was speaking to a first grade teacher. She's having an incredibly difficult time. She's experienced. She's a master teacher, but she's having an incredibly difficult time. Why? None of the children who are coming into her first grade class have had kindergarten. They know nothing about being in school. They know nothing about rules. They know nothing about anything. And so on top of trying to be a teacher, she has to start way before. AccuWeight works. Now our job is to help you do the work that you need to do in order to be successful. Question number one. Did you know when you started the program that in order for you to be successful, you would have to change? If you hadn't thought it through, then you started the program, you recognized that you had to change, and you resisted because it wasn't normal for you. It wasn't what you're used to. I was just looking, someone popped up and said hello to me. And I was trying to say back, but anyway, hi. And the issue then is you have to accept the fact that your old behaviors no longer work. Let's not go into anything other than this is all familiar to no one. Whether you've dieted before or whether you haven't, this is all unfamiliar. And many of you are looking for magic. Well, magic doesn't exist here. This is simple and this is easy. Change is required. Now, if there is no magic, can we do this successfully? And the answer is there is no question about it. The fact that thousands of people have done this program successfully suggests that the program works. So if you're not working the program, there's something going on with you, excuse me, and you're not dealing with it. I'll give you a simple example. Many programs and many situations suggest that you use affirmations. Well, I've done the research, and one of the things that I understand is that affirmations do work, but they only work when you've reached your level of success to maintain it. Therefore, for those of you who are using affirmations on a daily basis, you have nothing to connect it to. Success is simple success. As I told you, that teacher whom I was talking to, who's doing the program, says she's never had to experience what she's experiencing now. She possibly had one or two children who had not been to kindergarten, but she also never had children whose level of socialization was at this level. Kids were not interacting. They didn't know how to play. They didn't know how to do anything without supervision. And so the kids who were more advanced were having an easier time than the kids who were not more advanced. But the whole issue is having almost at the beginning of the term to teach a year of kindergarten and socialization to children who had no idea what it is to be playing with other children, to be interacting with other children. Now, AccuWeight Loss works. So you, number one, have to agree that you will have to change your attitude and your behavior. Now, question number one. What is it that causes you and other people to resist the fact that dieting requires, and weight loss with regard to dieting, because what you do on a daily basis is that's your diet. Weight loss requires a change in behavior. Now, if you're not ready to change your behavior, then you're going to invest in all kinds of tricks. None of them work. And how do I know that none of them work? Look at your television and see the number of weight loss programs there are and weight loss products that there are. Now, why would there be so many weight loss products and tricks? Because other programs can't compare to us. To my knowledge, we are the only program that is not ketotic, has a standard program for food, tells you that you will lose exclusively fat and that your body will not go into starvation mode. And I have been saying this since time immemorial. So what's the problem? The problem is what that kindergarten teacher is having to deal with. We have to start from the beginning. And the problem is not functional, it's psychological. Food is incredibly powerful. Almost everyone that you and I know uses food as the center of the world. When you're angry, you eat. When you're sad, you eat. When you're in company, you eat. When you go out, you celebrate, you eat. Food is powerful. And the taste of food, and people have incredibly different choices, and the taste of food dramatically increases its power. So, first and foremost, recognize that you have habits. And the habits are ways in which you have been behaving, some of you for years, some of you only for short periods of time. But habits are unconscious. We don't think about them. They're in our unconscious, and we do certain things automatically. Now, you're going to have to change. And the moment I say to you that you're going to have to change, you become uncomfortable. Now, what are you uncomfortable with? You don't even know, but because it's anti the habits that you've developed already, what do you mean I have to change? I like it the way I do it. Really? And why are you here? What is it that you want? And is it difficult? And the answer is, it's not difficult, it's strange. All of you have habits, and look around. You've seen people with other habits, and you see how they act and behave. And many of you, if not all of you, see people and say, how could people do things the way they do it? And the answer is, on an unconscious level, it's very normal to them. And since it's normal to them, it works. And since it works, they do it that way. And so let's ignore the program. The program is what it is. What we have to deal with is alternating behaviors. Now, changing a habit has to be conscious. And you have to recognize that when you attempt to change a habit, it's going to be uncomfortable. And you don't want discomfort because you have enough stresses and pressures in your life. And all of that is true. But the question is, regardless of that, you said, I want to lose weight. Doing it your way doesn't work. Those programs out there don't work either, because there would not be a million different products out there guaranteeing you magic. Changing your behavior is the magic. Becoming confident in yourself is the magic. Liking yourself is the magic. Having control of your life in a more functional kind of way is the magic. Now, if you're not ready to make changes, then you don't belong here, because doing it your way would be working, and you would not be sitting here listening to me if doing it your way worked. And I'm saying to you, the only reason your methodology doesn't work is because of the fact that you want to lose weight. Why would food be a problem if weight were not an issue? Food is not good or bad. Food and comfort came together in your life hours after you were born. You picked up habits over your lifetime for various reasons. I was watching a television program the other night, and every time there was a situation, some of the characters in this program that I was watching took snacks, took food, because it gave them comfort and it distracted them. Now, if they were overweight, then the number of snacks and the amount of snacks just increased because they needed more comfort to satisfy whatever that habit was. It didn't make it right or wrong. It only made it a problem because it interfered with what they said they wanted, which was, I want to lose weight. So we have to do certain things. And let me tell you what the first thing it is that we have to do. It's called repetition. We have to do it again and again and again and again. And we have to do that again as many times as we do it until the outcome is what we really wish for. Now, if you have to do it again and again and again, and it's a new behavior, then it's going to be resisted. It's going to be uncomfortable because I'm used to doing it that way. I'm used to doing it that way. It doesn't say it's good or it's bad. It says it's what I'm comfortable with. It comforts me. So if you want to change your life, you have to change your behaviors. But we're going to be rational about it. We're going to acknowledge what we're doing so that we are aware of it. And we're going to repeat those behaviors in a conscious kind of way because the discomfort will disappear because we're saying, I am in control. I am changing my behavior. I'm doing this change in behavior because I want something that I don't now have, and I won't be able to get what I don't have now unless I change my behavior. So then let's understand that step one in weight loss is changing your behavior. And that we have to change your behavior by making you conscious, aware of what it is that you're doing and why it is that you're doing it. If you're not willing to acknowledge what you're doing, if you're not willing to accept the discomfort of altering your habits, then you're going to be looking for magic. and magic does not exist. You have to remember something also. I've said to you for years that almost, excuse me, almost every one of those programs out there are cannibalistic. You burn muscle, you burn organ, you leach minerals from the bones, and it impacts on your metabolism. Those are all changes occurring because you're reducing the amount of calories that come in, but you're not learning anything. Because the moment you stop dieting, which is what they are, they're diets, the moment you stop dieting, what happens? You want to go back to your old behaviors. And the reason you want to go back to your old behaviors is because you were comfortable with your old behaviors. If they worked, why are you listening to me? They didn't work. So step number one is to acknowledge that I have to change my behavior if I'm going to achieve what I really want. So number one is make yourself aware. Remind yourself on a regular basis why you're doing this. If I were you, and right now I'm not, I've been on maintenance for years. When I did the program 25 years ago, I lost 84 pounds in 3 months. I hated those 3 months. And the only reason that I stuck with it is Dr. Chu said to me, you cannot be an overweight doctor. He used more personal terms. So I did what I had to do because I wanted a change in my life. I was not happy with myself. I was depressed. The program initially increased my depression because I had to change my behavior, and many of my, quote, favorite habits were off limits. And I became acutely aware of the fact that they were off limits. The first 2 weeks were horrible. And the reason they were horrible is I like sweet things like a donut. And in the morning, I like a cup of coffee. I used to use sugar in my coffee. And I used to use a lot of cream. So coffee, sugar, donuts. On my way to work, it comforted me. I was smiling. I was happy. I didn't have to think about anything. And then I burned out. And how would it be me sitting here today, looking at you and being 300 pounds? Well, almost 300 pounds. You and I both know that doesn't work. So I made myself aware of the fact, and I verbally repeated to myself what I was doing and why I'm doing it. I acknowledged the fact to myself verbally, because one of the things that I learned from Dr. Chu is thoughts are terrific, but thoughts are not real. Once you verbalize it, once you say it the way I'm saying it right now, that makes it real. And it makes it even more real for me, because when I talk, it's different than thought, because I hear myself talking and I pay attention. Now, I recognized my habits were not giving me what I wanted. So I had to change those habits. Now, the program speaks for itself. We know what we have to do. It's simple. There's no thought. There are some minor variations, but the program is the program, is the program, is the program. So that's not anything other than acknowledging that I have to change my behavior. This is what it is that I have to do, eating from 12 noon till 6 p.m. and everything that goes with it. That's what I have to do. Do I accept the fact that I have to? Well, it makes me uncomfortable. Well, the moment you say it makes you uncomfortable, you're setting up a resistance. If you don't want to change your behavior, then why could you expect anything other than having a difficult time? Now, a habit is something that you're comfortable of. It's very simple. And Alcoholics Anonymous has a wonderful analogy. The guy gets up, he goes out of his house, he turns left and he falls down. He picks himself up, he goes on his way. The following day, he goes out of his house, he turns left, he falls down, and this time he hurts himself a little more. But he picks himself up, but he's comfortable with going out of his house, turning left, and falling down. Until the pain of falling down gets to a point where he's now starting to pay attention. And what does he do? He walks down a different street. That's a change in behavior. And he changes that behavior to take care of himself, to make him aware that he has control, to make him aware of the fact that his old habit, whatever that habit was not good for him, but he was comfortable with it regardless of the fact that he was not comfortable with it. The key is I must change my behavior. Number two, I have to verbalize that I'm changing my behavior and that I'm aware of the fact that changing my behavior makes me uncomfortable. That's the truth. Well, I don't like waiting till 12 o'clock to start my food. Okay, then you're in the wrong program and leave. The reason you're here is every single one of you who is watching this recognize the program works. There is nothing out there that can compare to this program because it doesn't on any level interfere with your metabolic processes. Remember, your body on this program does not go into starvation mode, and therefore you're not harming your body because fat does nothing. Fat does nothing. So if you're using the sugar that comes from the fat in your body to sustain you, You're using something that doesn't harm you. So again, we're back to a head game here. I want. I want. I want. Okay, I want too. Do you know anybody who doesn't want? What happens if what you want is harming you? Now, right now, the only reason it's harming you is because you want to lose weight. If you're obese and in that category, it's still a choice that you've made, and you wouldn't be sitting here if that were not a problem. And there is no magic. The magic is in your head and your belief in yourself. Now, how do you change your behavior to believe in yourself? Well, again, let's face the fact and be truthful. If you continue to do what you've been doing the way you've been doing it, are you going to get what you want? The answer obviously is no. Is it important enough to you? And this is important. Is it important enough to you to recognize you're going to be uncomfortable because you're going to have to change some of your behaviors? And the answer is, it's going to be uncomfortable for you to change your behaviors, but you've got to remember something. Who makes the decision? Who's in charge? Who's the boss? If you're obese, you're out of control with food. Now, the moment you stop and recognize and accept that the issue is one of control, then you've accepted the fact that doing it the way you have been doing it doesn't work. I'm not your friend. I'm Dr. Schwartz. The reason you're sitting there is because you want me to help you. But you want magic. I can't give you magic. I can help you change your life so that sitting here and feeling the resistances and the pressures are gone. I'll tell you something else. Especially those of you who are realistically overweight. Nobody cares. It doesn't affect them. They have opinions. They can tell you this is good. They can tell you this is bad. But they didn't put you in a room, put you in a straitjacket, and say, this is the way you're going to live so that I can help you lose weight. Nobody's going to take that responsibility. Why? Because it forces them to change their lives, and it makes you, on some level, more important than they are. And people don't like being subservient, and I don't blame them. And for most of you, look around you and look at the successes that you've had in different areas. So don't tell me you're not competent. The only thing you can tell me is that your head is not in the right place. My job is to lead you through the forest. My job is to point out to you the dangers and the paths. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do this, is what's going to happen. If you do this, this is not what's going to happen. This is a harder road. This is an easier road. You're the one who makes the choices. And I help lead you to make those decisions. But I can't lead you to make those decisions if you're not ready to be uncomfortable. And uncomfortable has to do with I can't continue to do it the way I've been doing it. The next step is communication. And the issue of communication, it's great if it can be with other people. And that's why we have the special groups. That's why I'm here. The main communication has to be with yourself. If you're not happy with the results that you're getting, then your behavior is inappropriate. And your behavior is inappropriate is because you have habits that you're comfortable with, and you don't want to change those habits because it makes you uncomfortable. Now think about this. A person is banging their head against the wall and complaining to me that it hurts. And I say to the person, stop banging your head against the wall. And the person says, but I like it because when I'm banging my head against the wall, I don't think. And I say, what about the pain and the injury that's occurring? Well, I put up with it. And I say, would you agree that it's not good for you? And the answer is, but I'm comfortable with doing it because it blocks out what I don't want to hear. And so the first thing I do is I tell that person, here's a nice pillow. Put the pillow against the wall and bang your head as much as you want against the pillow. And what happens? The change occurs because the injury is now minimized. And the person begins to realize that. If you're not willing to change in a manner which is good for you, and remember what's good for you is simply to change some of your habits. I don't know why those habits developed in your life, and I don't really care why. They don't work. And if they don't work and you continue to do them, you'll never achieve what it is that you want. So, verbalize. The moment you tell yourself, I'm not eating till 12 o'clock. I hate not eating till 12 o'clock. I don't blame you. And since you hate not eating till 12 o'clock, well, how about taking some 0-calorie liquids? If it's 0 calories, you'll at least be giving yourself something. And you won't eat till 12 o'clock. And now you say to yourself, I'm not happy that I'm drinking these 0-calorie liquids, but at least I'm giving myself something, and I'm not eating till 12. And therefore, I'm doing the program in a changed kind of way to be good to myself. Now, I don't want to change. Aha. You don't want to change because you're comfortable. And then you're telling me that this comfortable is good for you, and that's why you're looking at me. That's why you're listening to me, because you're comfortable with your discomfort. The key here is to be honest. I'll give you another one. Dr. Chu, when he created what we now call AccuWeight Loss, added the Qigong breathing. Now, if you remember, Dr. Chu was national grand champion in Tai Chi Chuan, won the title in 1983, 84, and defended it again in 85. And Qigong breathing is part of that. And he added it to the program to increase the flow of oxygen in your body. And oxygen, is critical for life. First thing they do when you go in the hospital, they give you oxygen. Now, what we've discovered is that the Qigong breathing, as we practice it, is also, even though it's bit by bit by bit by bit, a form of meditation. And we've discovered that not only does it increase your oxygen flow within your body, but it has other incredible benefits as well. And what do I hear from people who are resistive? I don't have the time. Who do you don't have the time for? I don't have the time for me. I got 50 million things to do. I understand that. So never during the day are you going to have any time. The more answers you create, the more resistance you have because you haven't tried it. What makes it uncomfortable? It's a change. And once you begin to recognize the impact of the changes that you're making and how they benefit you, you find a way of doing it because not only does it benefit you, but you're beginning to get things that never occurred in your life before. I hear people all the time saying to me, Dr. Schwartz, I remember you said to me not to engage. And I say, elaborate. Well, some people have seen me massaging my beads and what I eat for lunch. And there have been an incredible number of comments that people have made. And that bothers me. And when I engage, I get into arguments all the time. And I say to them, I didn't say don't respond. I said don't engage. Now, here's an example. You are absolutely ridiculous. Milk, fruits, and vegetables. Day in and day out, milk, fruits, and vegetables, and not eating until 12? And my response is, thank you. It makes me feel really good that you care enough about me to look at what I'm doing and help me understand that you think I'm hurting myself. It really feels good that you would take that risk, that you care enough about me to share that. What happens is some of them will repeat themselves. You didn't really hear me. And they go through the same litany again. And again, I repeat, you really do care about me, and that really makes me feel good. I can't tell you how good it makes me feel that you share with me your concerns. They go away and they leave me alone with that argument. And they shake their heads because they don't know how to respond. Now, the second part, I'm not even sure about. Why in heaven's name would they be concerned about what it is that I'm eating, unless in some way, shape, or form, what it is that I'm doing impacts on them? I don't want to deal with that. I only want to deal with me because I want to like the me that I am. Now, you're doing the program. How do you feel about yourself doing the program? I'm not asking, do you like the program? I'm asking you, do you like yourself for doing the program? If your answer is yes, then what you've said is, even though I'm uncomfortable with the changes that I'm making in my life, even though I'm uncomfortable with the changes making in my life, I like myself better. Wow. You like yourself better? How wonderful. When I like myself better, you want to know something? And this is the truth. When I like myself better, when I get up in the morning, I'm happy with the person I get up with. And that's step number one. The key here is to accept the fact that you must face the fact that you are going to change your habits. That the habits that you have that lead to what makes you unhappy, which in this case is overweight, are because how you're doing it doesn't work. You're comfortable with it. You don't think about it except for the fact that the weight is there and that bothers you. And you repeat it over and over and over again because it's not comfortable to make changes. But then there's the other side, and we haven't even touched on that. And that is, it takes 21 days to begin to change a habit. And once you have a new habit, it's not uncomfortable anymore. It's comfortable because now you're in control and you like what you're doing and you continue to do it because what you're doing makes you feel good about you. And when you feel good about you, it impacts on everything else in your life. The changes for some are dramatic. For others, they're not as dramatic. But the feeling of being in control of you is hardly anything that we can control. But we can, when we're aware of it, and when we help make ourselves aware of it, recognize when I am the boss of me, I like it. It makes me feel good. And now I continue. I told you about the guy. Remember? He did the program. He was happy with himself for doing the program. And as he approached the end of being on the program, he called me on the phone and told me of the changes that were occurring in his life. People were recognizing him. People were talking to him. People were engaging with him. He felt part of the world that he did not experience because of his obesity. And he didn't want to give that up. The woman who came to me and said, Dr. Schwartz, I remember that day when you said to me, you're glowing. And I recognized that I was glowing because I had lost all that weight. And it felt so good that I was the one who did it. And I liked myself for having done it. I was aware of the fact that I felt so good because I'd done it. And then I didn't follow through. I didn't do the stabilization, and I've put the weight back. So I'm here again to, number one, lose the weight. But number two, I want that feeling of being in control, of liking myself. It felt so good. Now, I'm going to ask some reader questions before we go. If you'll pardon me, I'm going to put on my glasses. Here we go. Are there side effects? There are 3 side effects to the program. Number 1, during the first week to 10 days, some lightheadedness. A teaspoon of honey melted into a cup of hot tea or hot water. Sipped, 5 to 7 minutes, lightheadedness is gone. For some people, it takes a second teaspoon of honey, gone. 2, first week again, 10 days, headaches. Whatever analgesic you normally use, Tylenol, no problem. Last side effect, you will not experience, but second, third, fourth week you might, and that is constipation. Simple. Drink water and add into your diet some psyllium husk. Psyllium husk will give your body fiber. Added liquid will give your body, because dehydration is a major problem with constipation, problem is solved. There are no other meaningful side effects. Next question. Will I see a difference in my body within a month? I say yes, but let me tell you what you should do. If you're a beginner, even if you're not a beginner, take your phone, take a straight view, and take a profile. It's personal, it's private, it's on your phone. 2 weeks or a month later, do the same thing. Take a front view, take a profile. Comparing the before and the after is the answer. Remember what I promised. 15 pounds every 30 days, only fat. And since fat is less dense than any other body tissue, you're going to lose more inches than pounds. I really need milk in my coffee. Is there a creamer I can use? The answer is yes, there are. Go online, look for non-dairy creamers. Walden Farms, for example, makes 5 different ones. If you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it. If you're looking for an answer, if you're looking to make the change to get you what you really want, the answer is always there. What is the average weight loss a week? This is what I have been talking about. I promise you a minimum of 15 pounds only fat in total health every 30 days. It's going to vary. But I said every 30 days. I didn't say this week, next week. In fact, in the 25 plus years that I've been doing this, no one has ever heard me say this week or next week. So stop looking at the week. Look at your profile. Look at the inches. Look how well you feel. And remember, these short-term fixes are not fixes. They're just ways of blinding you to reality. I have a loose cough. Can I do just veggie days until it goes away? Now, number one, the moment, particularly in this day and age, you say to me you have a loose cough, I would say it should be looked at. Generally speaking, if you see a physician, one of the questions you're going to be asked is, what is the color of the phlegm? It could be a postnasal drip. It could be something else. Before you make changes, find out the answer to your question, not the way of avoiding the question. I am going to repeat myself again and again and again. I'm going to interact with you. I'm going to remind you what you have to do. And we're going to talk about the psychological aspects of change that relate to any successful program. Those of you who ask me questions are wonderful. Hi, Yvonne. I just realized your name popped up. And nice to hear from you. Yvonne has been home taking care of her 2-year-old and few months old grandchildren, and certainly has her hands full. I'll be talking to you soon. Your questions are welcome. Your comments while I'm on the air are welcome. See you soon.